So, that first frost is in the forecast, but your tomato plants are still loaded with green fruit, just like this. It feels like a race against time, doesn't it? A heartbreaking countdown where months of hard work could get wiped out in a single cold night. But don't you dare think about pulling these plants just yet. What if I told you there's a simple pruning strategy you can do right now to force every last bit of your plant's energy into ripening the fruit you already have? A trick that will get these tomatoes ripe on the vine fast, so you don't waste a single one. Today, I'm going to show you exactly how to pull off this late season magic. We're going to give our plants a clear signal that the season's almost over, and it's time to finish the job. By the end of this, you'll have a clear, step-by-step plan to guarantee one last delicious harvest before the frost takes over. Before we grab our pruners, you've got to understand why this works. Think of your tomato plant like a factory with a limited energy budget. All season, it's been spending that energy everywhere, growing taller, pushing out new leaves, making suckers, and of course, creating flowers that turn into fruit. But now, with the clock ticking, that's a terrible strategy. A new flower that pops up today has zero chance of becoming a ripe tomato before frost hits. That flower is just wasting precious energy. Our goal is to cut off these wasteful energy drains. By pruning the plant in a very specific way, we send a hormonal signal that basically puts it into panic mode. The plant senses its time is running out, so it stops trying to get bigger and redirects all its remaining resources, sugars, nutrients, everything, into the one thing that matters for survival, ripening the existing fruit to mature its seeds. We're giving the plant a controlled, strategic stress out to trigger its survival instincts. It's a powerful move that shifts the plant's focus from future growth to finishing the fruit it already has, dramatically speeding up the ripening process. Okay, before you make a single cut, you absolutely must know what kind of tomato plant you're growing. This is probably the most important distinction in the tomato world. You've got two main types, determinate and indeterminate. Determinate tomatoes are your bush varieties. They're genetically wired to grow to a set size, pump out all their fruit in a fairly short window, and then they're pretty much done. For these guys, heavy late-season pruning is a bad idea. If you start hacking off branches, you're literally cutting off your harvest because the plant has already made all the fruit it's going to make. The only pruning you should really do on a determinate is trimming off any leaves that are touching the ground to keep things clean. Indeterminate tomatoes, on the other hand, are the wild ones. These are vining types that would just keep growing and growing until the frost finally takes them out. They're constantly making new leaves, new stems, and new flowers all season long. These are the plants we're targeting. Because they have that endless drive to grow, we need to be the ones to step in and tell them when to stop. If you're not sure which type you have, check the seed packet or plant tag. As a rule of thumb, most big vining heirlooms are indeterminate, while many patio or container types are determinate. Alright, grab your clean, sharp pruners. Let's get to work. And I mean clean. A quick wipe with rubbing alcohol between plants is a fantastic habit to prevent spreading any diseases. We're going to follow a 4-step process. Step 1. Top the plant. This is the most dramatic and probably the most important cut. Topping just means cutting off the main growing tip of each vine. So follow each main stem all the way to the top, past the highest fruit cluster that looks like it has a real shot at ripening. You'll see that soft new growth at the tip, maybe with tiny leaves and new flower buds. Snip it right off. I know it feels wrong after encouraging growth all summer, but about 4 weeks before your first frost date, this cut is essential. It sends that powerful panic signal we talked about, telling the plant to stop growing taller now. All the energy that would have gone into another foot of vine is now forced to go downwards into the existing fruit. So go through your plant and top every single main stem. Step 2. Ditch the flowers and baby tomatoes. Now that we've stopped the plant from growing up, we need to stop it from making new fruit. Look over the whole plant closely. See those clusters of yellow flowers? See those teeny tiny hard green tomatoes that just showed up? Be ruthless. Pinch them all off. This can be even harder than topping for some folks. Those flowers are future tomatoes. But let's be realistic. A flower on the plant today just doesn't have time to become a full-sized, ripe tomato. It's a false promise and an energy thief. Every bit of sugar feeding that flower is stolen from the beautiful, almost ready tomato right next to it. So snip off every flower and any fruit smaller than a marble. This ensures 100% of the plant's ripening energy goes to the tomatoes that can actually make it to your kitchen. Step 3. Eliminate the suckers. Next up, the energy vampires of the tomato world, suckers. A sucker is that little shoot that pops up in the V where a leaf branch meets the main stem. If you let them go, they turn into whole new main stems, complete with their own leaves and flowers, further dividing the plant's energy. You've probably been pruning these all season, but a few have likely escaped and gotten big. It doesn't matter. They gotta go. Follow every branch to the main stem and look for those suckers. Prune them off as close to the main stem as you can without wounding it. This reinforces the message. Stop building new things and focus on the fruit you've got. Step 4. Thin the leaves for sun and air. The final step is to strategically thin out some leaves. The goal here is twofold: improve airflow to prevent disease, and more importantly, let the sun shine in. Start at the bottom. Take off any leaves that are yellow, spotted, or touching the ground. These are the oldest leaves and the most likely to pick up fungal diseases from the soil. Next, work your way up, selectively removing some of the big fan leaves, especially any that are shading clusters of green tomatoes. Now don't go crazy and strip the plant bare. You can get sun-scald on your tomatoes if the sun is still intense. Research shows that the leaves directly above a fruit cluster are important for shading it and providing sugars, so try to leave those. But creating some dappled light and letting air move freely makes a huge difference in ripening those stubborn green clusters and keeping the plant healthy in its final weeks. Once you've done your 4-step prune, here are a couple of extra tricks to get your plants over the finish line. First, consider cutting back on water a little bit. I know, we've been all about consistent watering all summer, but slightly stressing the plant this way can intensify that end-of-season signal. Don't let it dry out completely, but stretching the time between waterings can encourage it to hurry up and ripen its fruit. Second, be a proactive harvester. As soon as you see a tomato start to show color, what's called the breaker stage, pick it. A tomato will continue to ripen perfectly well on your kitchen counter once it has started to turn. Removing these from the vine frees up even more energy for the plant to focus on the remaining green ones. And finally, if a surprise frost does sneak up on you, don't panic. You can harvest all the mature, full-sized green tomatoes and bring them inside. Place them in a cardboard box or a paper bag and toss in a ripe banana. Bananas release a ton of ethylene gas, a natural plant hormone that kicks ripening into high gear. Check the box every day, and you'll be enjoying home-ripened tomatoes for weeks. They might not have the exact same flavor as a truly vine-ripened one, but they are infinitely better than anything from the store. And that's it. By topping the plant, removing new flowers and fruit, pruning suckers, and thinning leaves, you've basically taken control of your plant's destiny. You've told it exactly what to do: stop growing, start ripening. You've turned it from a plant with a scattered focus into a single-minded ripening machine. You will be amazed at how many of those green globes turn into brilliant red, juicy tomatoes before that first frost even has a chance. You've saved your harvest and extended your season. Now, I want to hear from you. What's your biggest end-of-season challenge in the garden? Is it tomatoes or something else? Drop a comment below. I read every single one and love hearing what you've got going on. And of course, if you found this helpful and want more practical tips to get the most out of your garden, hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you don't miss a thing. Happy harvesting!